When you picture Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, what comes to mind? I bet it's something with roses, right? Maybe some doves fluttering around. And look, it's a beautiful image, but it's only a tiny piece of a much larger, way more powerful puzzle. On one side, you have the stuff we all know, the gentle symbols of simple beauty we see in paintings and poems. But then, there's this whole other side. We're talking about symbols of earthly fertility, primal energy, and a deep, profound truth. These feel so much more powerful, more ancient. We're going to dive into what we're missing. And trust me, in doing so, we're going to reveal a goddess who is way more complex and fascinating than you probably think.
So it really makes you stop and think, right? What if the popular symbols we all know are just scratching the surface? What deeper truths about love, about power, and about the natural world are hiding in the symbols that time has kind of forgotten? Well, that's exactly the question we're tackling today. Here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll look at symbols of earthly vitality, connecting her to the raw force of nature. Then we're going to turn inward and examine a really surprising symbol of inner truth and self-reflection. And finally, we'll connect it all back to her epic origins with symbols of grace from both the sea and the sky.
Okay, our journey starts right here on the ground, with two symbols that tie Aphrodite directly to the raw, untamed life force of the earth itself, the pomegranate and the hare.
Let's start with the pomegranate. Now, this is not just a fruit you'd find at the market. In Aphrodite's world, it is a dense, layered symbol. It represents, well, everything from the raw power of fertility to the sanctity of marriage and ultimately the continuation of the human race. It's a big deal. And this is where it gets really interesting because the pomegranate literally grounds Aphrodite in the physical world. Legend says she planted the first one herself on Cyprus, physically linking her otherworldly sea foam birth to the fruitfulness of the land. Think about it. Those hundreds of crimson seeds, that's life's abundance. That rich red juice, it mirrors the vitality of blood and the intensity of the passion she ignites. This makes the pomegranate a grounded terrestrial counterpart to her ethereal origins. It shows her power isn't just some abstract idea. It's about nurturing the seeds of desire into real, tangible life. So the pomegranate represents this kind of patient, fruitful growth. It's the slow burn of life taking root, a promise of abundance that's on its way. But Aphrodite's influence isn't always so patient, is it? Sometimes it's a sudden, frantic pulse, an untamed energy that is perfectly captured by our next symbol. Let's talk about the hare. This creature represents a completely different and honestly often overlooked side of Aphrodite. If the pomegranate is about settled abundance, the hare is all about the wild chase. We're talking about lust, frantic reproductive energy, and a primal attraction that is completely 100% untamed. I mean, just think about it. The hare is all about quickness, nervousness, and of course, legendary fertility. Back in the ancient world, it was even given as a gift between lovers to get the goddess's blessing and favor. It perfectly symbolizes that initial, heart-pounding jolt of a new attraction, that raw biological impulse that can feel totally uncontrollable. It's a brilliant illustration that Aphrodite's power can be as swift and unpredictable as a hare darting through a field. Okay, so from the wilds of earthly passion, we're going to shift gears completely and turn inward. Our next symbol isn't about fertility or lust, but about a profound, almost psychological aspect of her influence: the mirror. You know, the mirror is so easily dismissed as just a symbol of vanity, and in a lot of stories, that's exactly how it's used. But for Aphrodite, it's so much deeper. It's a tool for self-reflection. It's a way to understand the profound truth and the power that is inherent in beauty itself, not just what's on the surface. The mirror's real purpose is to connect who you are on the inside with your external form. It's even said that the calm sea was her very first mirror when she was born from the foam, reflecting her own perfection back at her. For us mortals, the mirror represents the clarity she offers when our hearts are confused by love and attraction. And here's the key idea. The mirror teaches that beauty isn't passive. It's a power that you first have to recognize in yourself, understand, and then wield with conscious intent. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Love begins with the recognition of one's own worth. It's not just about looking at yourself, it's about truly seeing yourself. It's about recognizing that divine spark inside you is the absolute starting point for any kind of real love. It's such a powerful, introspective idea that totally shifts the focus from vanity to self-worth. All right, for our final section, we're looking to the sea and sky.
We're returning to the ethereal elegance of Aphrodite's origins with two absolutely beautiful symbols, the swan and the pearl. Now, sometimes we associate the swan with the god Apollo, but it holds a truly sacred place with Aphrodite. This majestic bird just embodies the elegance, the poise, and the mature grace she showed when she first arrived, fully formed from the sea. It is the very picture of effortless beauty. And you can see the direct lines to her origin story right here. The swan's brilliant white feathers, they perfectly echo the shimmering sea foam of her birth. And its ability to move so gracefully between the water and the air, that mirrors her own epic journey from the depths of the ocean to the heights of Mount Olympus. Ultimately, it's a symbol of the calm, aesthetic harmony she brings to the often chaotic world of relationships. And that brings us to what might be the most poetic symbol of all, the pearl. What makes it so perfect? It literally shares the exact same origin story as the goddess, born from the mysterious, salty depths of the ocean. Just like Aphrodite, a pearl is a hidden treasure. It emerges from the water as a complete and perfect object of immense value. It symbolizes a purity of form and a rare kind of affection that's hard to find. Ancient writers even compared her luminous skin to a pearl's iridescent sheen. And of course, since it comes from an oyster, it powerfully reinforces that iconic seashell imagery from her spectacular arrival on the coast. This table just lays it out so perfectly, showing how both of these elegant symbols tie right back to her seaborne identity. You look at the swan. Its origin is moving between water and air. It symbolizes mature grace, and it's linked to her birth through the visual of sea foam. The pearl, though, is literally formed in the ocean and symbolizes purity and rare value. It basically embodies her essence, a precious thing, emerging fully formed from the ocean's depths. Okay, so we've looked at earthly vitality, inner truth, and ethereal grace. Now let's bring it all together and see the complete picture of who Aphrodite really is. When we put all these pieces together, the earthy, the introspective, the ethereal, and we step beyond the simple rose and dove, what we find is a goddess with this rich, layered identity. The one-dimensional myths of just beauty and vanity, they really don't do her justice at all. Let's just quickly run through the facets we've uncovered. We've got the pomegranate for earthly abundance and life, the hare for that primal, untamed desire, the mirror representing self-worth and inner truth, the swan for ethereal grace and harmony, and finally, the pearl for hidden purity and precious value. Each one reveals a totally different, but totally essential part of her power. And this right here is the key takeaway from our whole exploration. These symbols show how Aphrodite uniquely bridges two completely different worlds, her violent, chaotic, elemental birth from the sea foam, and her sophisticated, complex life among the gods on Mount Olympus. She is both raw nature and refined culture, all at once. And this final thought just says it all. Her legacy is not in a single flower or bird, but in a vast collection of the world's vibrant mysteries. Her influence isn't limited to one or two simple things. No, it's woven into the very fabric of nature itself. So the next time you think of Aphrodite, I want you to look beyond the rose. Ask yourself, who is this complex, powerful, multifaceted queen who reigns over everything that lives, breathes, and desires under the sun? The answer, as we've seen, is far more interesting than you ever imagined.